Good evening, members and guests of Lion Golf Academy. Welcome back to another episode of the Reddit Golf Swing Analysis Series. This is episode number 40. I can't believe we're on episode 40 already, and our goal is to get to at least 100. So if you do have swing analyses, so if you do have a swing that you'd like to be analyzed, please send it to me. The email is in the description below. Just go ahead and send a face-on view and a down the line. Keep in mind, we don't want this to replace lessons. There's nothing better than an actual on-course face-to-face lesson with your nearest pro, but this is strictly for education, and hopefully you'll be able to see some cause and effect, which is what my goal is to help you do, is recognize what causes what and how to adjust it, and look at impact. How do we get to impact? By changing what happens before impact. So with that being said, if you do like this, hit that like and subscribe, share it with your friends, get the word out. Free evaluation. Just title it free, and I promise you we'll get this thing to grow. All right, so first up we have Doug. Let me see, make sure this is Doug. All right, Doug, welcome. So let's take a look at your notes here. 30 years old, fairly tall, 5'9", 190, pretty strong, extremely tight hips. Okay, grandpa taught him how to play when he was 14, so probably good 15 years of playing golf, I assume, off and on. Tore his 50% ACL meniscus this June. Okay, some days he said he is playing well, and other days he plays like a beginner, which, sounds like most of us, unfortunately. In order to play well all the time, you have to be dedicated to the sport. You have to spend many hours on the range and many days, and probably have not a family and many hobbies. So welcome to golf, I guess. Let's take a look at your swing, and let's see what's going on with that hip issues. And now, I know you just sent me a face on, and that's unfortunate because down the line can really help us with plane issues. It's hard to see plane issues from here, but I can kind of get an idea what's going on with your plane just by your lower body motion. So if you do get a chance, Doug, send me a down the line, and I'll do the down line along with another video. Okay, so already I kind of do see the lower body kind of tightening up. You're not able to rotate as much as you would like. I do see some losses posture, especially in this transition move. And I do see what you mean by firing your hips early. However, I don't think you're turning your hips. I think you're just readjusting your spine to stand taller, which does flatten your swing arc, and that can help you keep that club face open longer. But then you do have that pretty fast release because there's lack of turn, because your body cannot turn as much through as you would like. And I'm not sure if this has been a constant problem for you before you came up with these injuries, or if that is just a result of the injuries. But let's just take a look from the beginning. And let's set this up so we can see our alignment, our posture. Okay, so your posture is pretty good in terms of your spine angle. However, that line is not correct. Let me redraw that. I'm gonna put it right through your head. This mouse is playing havoc. Okay, so we can see it's pretty good. Your ball position is in line with your club face. However, the hands are slightly ahead of that center of your spine, causing a little forward lean. I do think you're standing a little bit too tall and level shoulders. So I don't mean tall by standing tall. I mean leveling out your shoulders, which makes your spine angle tall. So if you get that right shoulder to dip down a little bit, maybe shift your weight slightly on the right side. Ball position, maybe get it out to just inside your left heel. By you shifting your right shoulder a little bit more, tilting allows that your 55-60% of your weight should be in your right side just as a result, and then your spine angle will be tilted slightly more this way, and then your hands can be sitting where they are now. So you can either just tilt and get your hands to stay there, or leave your tilting where it is and pull your hands back to the center. However, if you leave it where it is and pull it to the center, you're going to have really high pop-up flies. So you're going to do some compensation. So initially, I think you need to just get a little bit more spine angle, get those hands to connect to that spine angle so you don't get that forward press. You don't need forward presses with drivers. You want to try and hit up. A forward press kind of limits your release. Specifically, you can kind of get away with it if you have a lot of tilting and turning, but because you don't, you have your hands to kind of release that club for you, and that's where you have these club face issues. But let's take a look on the way back. We're going to put a little spine angle, a back brace line here, and then we'll do a little impact line to see how much of your body can get over that impact line. You can see already, your whole left side is almost on your impact line already, so you are definitely front heavy, and you do lose some posture on the way through. Okay, so you're pretty good staying in your spine angle, so you can still see that angle still leaning back, which is fine. All you've done is turn around to your right side, so that's a really good position. Arms are basically where they need to be. You're not extending your arms too much. The club face is definitely closed compared to your left arm. So from this point of view, it should be kind of equal to that left arm. You can see how much that toe is kicking up in the air. That's going to create some havoc for you, unless you can really tilt and turn to keep that club face square. Like you mentioned, you fired your hips. However, when you fire your hips, you don't really turn your hips. You kind of move into the golf ball. So we can see your weighting is okay. It's slightly behind center, which is fine. But as you come down into impact, you're trying to shift that weight left, but you're not really turning to shift it. This little motion here, if you look at your position of your feet, so your weighting is going towards your toes, which to me means you're starting to stand up and lose your posture, because if your weighting goes to your toes, instead of you starting here, right? If your weighting goes to your toes, my toes are here. My weighting goes to my toes, my body stands up to accommodate that. And now when it stands up, it drops your hands low in the slot, which might work for you to help you get in the slot. It's hard to see because we don't have that down the line, which is why it's so important to get that. But you can tell because as you strike the golf ball, your right foot is on the toes, left foot is slightly on toe bias as well. And then when you follow through, you see how that left heel kind of spins a little bit. That means your weight's gone to your toes, which, confirms that you are standing up into impact and you're trying to hang back, which is great. But because there's not a lot of turn, your hands are now have to release a lot. And with a closed club face, if you release just a little bit too much, see that one already, you can see contact. I mean, that could be deflection that's causing that club face to close, depending on where it was struck. If it's struck on the heel, it's going to deflect closed. But it looks like it's decently struck in the center. But look at that position there. I mean, you're swinging down still, and then look at that as it comes over through. So that could be deflection, part deflection and part release, but definitely release. Look at that right arm just kind of flicking over too soon. It's already, even over here, if you're not able to turn, that shaft should still be matching up with your turning while your body is trying to square that club face up for you. You don't need the hands and arms to release so much, because you can square the club face two ways, by hands and arms or by body only. It's kind of a hybrid of both, but if you lack on one, the other one picks up. So if I have somebody that doesn't use their arms and hands very much, they're going to have a huge amount of turn and tilt to compensate for that. If I have somebody that doesn't use their body too much, they're going to have a huge amount of wrist release to compensate for that. So you can see that wrist release coming in just because you're trying to jump into the golf ball, lose your posture, and that could be because of your tight hips and your history of your injury. So definitely get some therapy going on. I'm sure you are. Now you're coming through. This is where your turn is established and you're looking great past impact, nice and tall. So you have it in you. I think a lot of this is weight management in terms of going to the toe and heel. Make sure you keep it more towards the heel as you're driving through to create that force to stay down and swing up on the ball. And then basic setup issues. So definitely take a look at the setup. So if you're working with that pro, go back to your pro, have them look at your setup, have them make sure you're setting up correctly to give you the best chance to strike that golf ball where the club face is moving up. We're never going to get to plus 4 to 8 degrees as a tour guys, but we don't want to be going down. So I have a suspicion that you might be going down. But hope that helps you. I think, let me just say you are from Denver. I don't know, I lived in Denver for a while, and I think it looks very Denver-like, very hilly and very green. So hope that helps. At least it's not Wichita. Let's see who's next. Okay, welcome back. Let's see. We have James now. He gave me a little hint. James, I'm going to look into the magic ball out there. The golf god's going to help me today. I think you're from Oklahoma City. Let me know if that's right. And he has some issues too far inside in his takeaway, releasing too early. Feel like he's coming over the top on the side. Okay. Misses being pulls to the right and topping the balls at time. Okay, that makes sense with those two. A lot of times he's striking the ball on the heel. Okay. Okay. And I got to get you a statistics sheet. So if I forget to send you your statistics sheet and you're watching this, give me a quick comment so I can send it to you. Got your videos. Thank you so much. I know we had some issues with your videos, but we got them now. Oh yeah, definitely club face is wide. The club face is okay, but you're definitely pulling your arms away from your center, raising that lead shoulder. Upper body's kind of rocking all over the place, but you're definitely, you're capable of doing all the moves correctly. I mean, it's pretty good rotation, foot management, a little bit of some issues there. As you can see, that lead foot kind of spinning out. That means that weight is kind of stuck on your toe and your backs, your backside here. on your left foot. If there's too much weight here, that left, I get confused with lefties. Your right foot isn't planted as much, so it's prone to kind of spin out. But definitely some handsy and armsy motions. Thank you for setting me down the line, so we can definitely look at the plane issues. Let's just look at your setup, and from here we can start to see some setup issues right off the bat. So look at your spine angle here. So that's based on your shoulder tilt. Hands are doing good. They're right inside that center, but look where that golf ball is. That golf ball, based on the way you're setting up, that golf ball should be way out over here. Now, if you set up at the golf ball way out over there, you won't have to move as much as you do, to get over there based on your center of your circle, which is your spine angle. So your spine angle set is really important. And if you start messing with these, you can get away with it sometimes if you have really good hand-eye coordination or you hit thousands of balls a week. But if you're not able to, this is where you start to have some issues, and your body has to compensate for that, causing plane issues, and then that causes weight management issues, and then that causes club face issues, and that results in ball flight issues and consistency issues. Let's take a look at how much you do move around. We're going to draw a couple square little lines on your head there, and let's take a look. So weight goes back. Okay, so you're already stuck on that left side, which is fine. I attribute that to that deep spine tilt. Not much rotation going back. Arms are disconnecting from that rotation or from that core, so you're gonna have to reconnect that, which would cause the over the top. Hands are really close to that head at the top of the swing. That could be a very flat plane. We'll have to look at there. Okay, so here's some issues here. You already see. Okay, so if you look here now, what has happened to your spine angle? Your spine angle is actually higher than it was before. So we're going to try and draw them kind of next to each other. Okay, so that's your new spine angle. So you see how you started with a steeper, more tilt, and then as you swing, your tilt's gotten higher, straighter. You want it the opposite way. You wanted to start straighter, and as you transition, that's where you tilt more. So you're kind of going backwards a little bit, and that's going to cause some issues with over the top, because if you start from steep and then start to stand up, your standing up motion is going to cause a round over the top motion. So some tilting issues as well. And then as you strike the golf ball, now you're kind of where you want it to be. You've moved into the ball. So you see how much you moved in. We're going to draw a longer, let me see if I can do this, eyeball it. Okay, so that's where your center is now. So that really long one is where your center is. So you've moved, 3 or 4 inches into the golf ball to accommodate, to try and search for that ball position where it should have been. So definitely some setup issues as well, which will cause a lot of this. And as a result, look at how much you lean over left. So you've started way too far back and tilted back, and now all of a sudden your upper body's gone from too much tilt to standing up, and now it's leaning this way. So you're kind of rocking over your golf ball instead of setting your spine angle and just staying set and actually increasing the spine angle, because we want to launch the ball. You're actually covering the golf ball, which increases your backspin dramatically because your club head is coming down, and your launch angle, who knows what your launch angle is, but your your backspin rate must be pretty high. So I don't know if you've been tested on data metrics, but somebody you might know must have one of these things. They're not that expensive anymore. Even the very basic one, the Flight Scope Mevo, not even the Mevo Plus, the Mevo is $200 or $300, and that can give you some pretty good spin rates there. So you might want to look into that. But let's take a look at your down the line. All right, James, let's take a look at your down the line. See what's going on. A little bit of it, yeah, there's that lead shoulder, so your right shoulder is kind of picking up, which lowers your plane to get a little bit shallow, but let's see how you make up for it. There, you're stuck on your toes, you're getting a little bit closer to the golf ball. There's that out of, it's not really over the top though, because you get back on plane. So you do a really good job of compensating for this entire this entire down the line is very well compensated. So this is going to be a tricky one to solve, because you have developed enough muscle memory to kind of get away with what you're doing, and a total overhaul is what you would probably need. With somebody like this, and watch what I mean. As you take this club back, your lead shoulder, which is your right shoulder, picks up And when that picks up, it flattens you out, which means you lose your connectivity. Your arms start to trail too far back, and now they're back in no man's land, and you have to kind of work your way back by flicking your hands and arms through, and that usually causes outside and over the top motions. So as you take your club back, we're going to draw a line, way up here just so we can see it. But let's just say 90 degrees from your spine angle. That's about as close as we can get, for government work. And as we take that club back, look at your shoulders here. They're much flatter, which will bring your plane lower. Everything's kind of flat. And now all of a sudden that would be okay to hit up on the ball if you stay there and just, tilt and turn underneath and really strike the golf ball and hit it up. You do a good job of getting to that top plane line. Now your transition, you're kind of leaning left. Again, sorry, lefty. You're leaning right. And that's to get to that golf ball position. You got to make that golf ball position work because you started so, off center and too much tilt. So now you're trying to reroute and get back to that golf ball correctly. But now you're leaning right has caused you to kind of get back on that plane. So your leaning right actually is a good thing for our down the line view, where it's a poor thing for our face on view. So they work. You found a way to kind of make it work. Yeah, it is slightly over the top. It's not too bad. It's still falling in your plane lines. If we draw a line that goes straight down to through the shaft. Sorry, man. This mouse is killing me. So if we go ahead and go all the way down, so you can see look at that. It's right in the golf ball. So I don't think you're over the top at all. I just think how you get there can create an over-the-top move every now and then. The club head follows all the way down through. It's slightly open. At impact, you're still in your spine angle pretty well. You strike the golf ball. It looks like it's pretty well. You're turning through pretty well there. There's not much flipping going on. Your body's turning through. You might release it a little bit, and then you're coming on back through. So you do a really good job, with all these things that you're kind of compensating with and moving around based on your setup. You found a way to make it work, but the problem is can you do that routinely throughout a 5-hour round? That's probably where you're having the issues with. And you might have done it well enough on this one swing, but if we take 100 swings, how many of these can you do correctly? So that comes down to your own skill set and your own reliability. More golf balls you hit, the better you are. Less golf balls you hit, the worse you become. Your misses become all over the place. So this is entirely up to you. This is just a cause and effect video. You have to decide if you want to do a total overhaul. Total overhauls are a nightmare, but unfortunately, it may be needed. You can always try your setup positions, change your setup just the way I explained on the front view, where you have to move your ball position or stand up straighter or modify things that way. Try a couple swings that way, but keep in mind, by you modifying your setup is going to affect everything else. So this is domino effect. This is, I don't know if you have taken lessons before, but this is kind of the unfortunate thing. If you have not taken lessons or haven't gotten any guidance when you first started playing golf, this is what happens, is we just start developing our emotions based on our flaws, and it becomes reliant upon each other. So if you change the flaws, you change the good shots, you change the good motions to compensate those flaws. If you change the good motions, the flaws fall apart. So this is just unfortunate, but best of luck to you. And let me guess where you're from. I'm going to say Long Beach. No, that doesn't look like Long Beach. Let's go Middle America. Let's go Texas. I don't know why, but Texas. Hopefully that helps you. Let me know if you want that stat sheet, and best of luck to you. Let's see who's next. All right, next up we have Frankie. Frankie sent us a nice big video, so I appreciate that. Let's take a look here. What does Frankie's notes say? Thanks and have a great day. You do as well, Frankie. I'm going to look at your motions. Try my best without any information, but let's see. Okay, slight swing going on. Okay, I just see right off the bat, I just see a lot of swaying going on. Maybe you're trying to work on your weight shift. The same sort of thing, you're kind of staying on your toes too much, you're shifting around your toes. You could be shaft humping at impact. It could be a result of your clubs too. Clubs may be a little bit too, I don't know. It's hard to tell with cameras nowadays. They could catch your club doing some funky things. Alright, but definitely some shaft humping going on there. But let's take a look at your posture. Look how big that line is. How come some videos they do these tiny little lines that you can't see them? And some of these are so huge that it's just obnoxious. All right, so let's look at your setup. Again, apologies for the mouse. I gotta get a new mouse. All right. Forgive me. Okay, there we go. Jeez. All right, so hands are good. A little bit forward press as well. Maybe a little bit too much shoulder tilt. Depends on what club that is. That looks like a high lofted club, so it's okay. We can get away with that. Look how far that head moves out of the box. Getting the weight behind the golf ball, which is okay. Let's see if you move back into it. A lot of turn. Great turn. Hands are still connected to that turn, which is really good. You move back into it. Now you're slightly ahead of where you were. And then you come on through. So a moment of impact, moment of truth is here. Now from here to here. And that's pretty good. So you're staying pretty steady. So you're able to work with that motion. It is very toe heavy. Look at those toes. Those toes are up in the air at impact. You don't really need that. You definitely need to move more grounded. So we have to look at down the line to see what's going on. But in terms of your overall motion, it looks good. It's very athletic. I'm not a fan of moving around so much, but I've seen it been done, so I'm not going to suggest any changes. Now, if you do notice that your contact becomes a little bit weird, sometimes you hit very heavy shots, sometimes you hit very thin shots, check your motions, because if you're moving a lot of this going on, the ball's only 1.25 inches diameter. If you're moving, a good 10 inches each side, that's 20 inches of motion that you have to time for 1.25 inches of impact zone. That's usually where it goes first. So if you do start hitting heavy shots and thin shots, check your motion. Might be swaying too much. But overall, it looks okay. Let's look at the down the line, because I think with this swing, we're going to see a little bit more from down the line. All right, Frankie, here we go. Down the line. Let's see where we are. Okay, setup's good. Looks very balanced, very neutral. Alignment's okay. It's tough to tell from this angle. It's a little bit too far back. That right shoulder could be a little bit open, but it's not too bad. A little disconnection there. Okay, yeah, this is where we can see a little bit more of this. All right, yeah, definitely some posture loss issues, but you do a really good job. So this is another one where it looks like you're able to, compensate really well. I'll show you what I see and what can be caused. What can happen if you're starting to miss hit shots, and maybe this might help you. I wouldn't suggest changing any of this stuff yet, just because you do have a fairly complex motion, but it does work upon itself. So initially, you can see how that little disconnects. So arms are going higher, and lays that club off, which is now following that plane line. So even though these are disconnected, that club head is always searching for that lower plane line, which is good. And it should also search for that upper plane line based on where you set it. So you can see it kind of gets there a little bit over the top. Club face is slightly closed compared to your left forearm. You come on back through. This is a pretty decent move here, slightly steep on this angle, right? But now to compensate that, if you just go ahead and turn and tilt from there, you're going to pull every golf ball, you're going to rope hook them, or you're going to block them out because your hands don't want to be involved. So you've developed a motion where you start to stand up. Now this standing up, you can see how now your spine angle is taller. But by standing up, what happens to that club head? If I start standing up from here, my head goes back. See how my head goes back? So head goes back, meaning you're losing your posture. But by losing your posture, you're actually dropping the club head back in, because the taller you stand, the more that club head starts to lean back and drop in the slot. So now it's in a pretty good position. And from here, your hands might be still higher, but at least they're following that plane line, dropping the slot, you're turning through, and you're not flicking the ball, you're just kind of releasing it. So it looks pretty good. But again, at impact, look how much you stood up to make this work. Now, are you losing distance? I don't know. You look like a pretty strong guy, pretty athletic. You're getting a lot of weight behind it, so I don't think you're losing any distance. I think what might be a result is you're a little bit off some days. Some days you might be blocking them a lot. You might be, rope hooking every now and then to compensate for that blocking move. But again, this is another tough one because it is reliant upon itself, and you're doing a really good job of being reliant based on this one swing. So keep it up, I guess. Address is looking good, grip is looking good, everything's neutral, ball position is very close. Your weight management system is actually needed, so I wouldn't even mess with staying off the toes, because if you stay off the toes, you're going to hold your posture, but then your club face is going to come from such a steep angle, you won't know how to release it, and you'll actually hit worse. So just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, focus on short game, putting. If you need a stat sheet, I'll send out the stat sheet. I'll send it to everybody that wants it. It just helps you keep track of all aspects of your game when you play, and it will show you what you're weak at or what you're strong at, but I hope that helps you. I don't know if I guessed where you're from. It's been a long day. But if I did guess where you're from, I hope that's it. But if not, I'm going to throw up another guess, because I have such short-term memory. Let's throw this out there. Cuba. I don't know if you thought I'd say Cuba. All right, next up. Hope that helps you. All right, last up we have Kurt. Enjoy your analysis. So thank you, Kurt. Appreciate the support. Please see attached video. 8 handicap, very inconsistent. Misses both ways, but hit a lot of push slices when playing bad. When I'm on, I can play good. Other times I feel like a beginner. Misses both ways. That reminds me of I had a caddy one day, and I said to the caddy, which way does this golf ball move? And he says, it kind of moves like you. It goes both ways. I said, what are you talking about? So I just thought about that. All right, so let's take a look. When I'm on, I play good. Then when I'm okay, so that sounds like a lot of manipulation going on, and that's normal, Kurt. I mean, if you don't do this for a living, you just got to take the good with the bad. When you play good, just enjoy it. When you play bad, just know that those dimes will be gone fairly soon. I have a rule of thumb. If I play bad one time, I'm just going to chalk it off. If I play bad 2 times, I'm going to work on my basics, grip alignment, setup, posture. If I work on those and I play bad 3 or 4 more times in a row, I go see somebody to help me, and then they kind of get me back in line. So try that, but don't put too much pressure on yourself. I mean, golf is tough. Let's take a look. That's a horrible line. All right, let's get the right tool this time. Okay, we got the right brace line. In your case, the left brace. So what's up with all these lefties lately? Unless you guys are sending to me and the computer's flipping them. Okay, so there's the impact line. And good. So I'm assuming, yeah, this is a driver. Okay, so let's take a look at your setup. Shoulder tilt. And then let's put a line right through your spine. Okay, pretty good. Pretty close setup there, so that's all right. Take the club back. A little bit of rocking going on. Okay, a little bit of length there. Ooh, okay, definitely some length. Oh yeah, okay. This is where your consistencies are going to come from, or inconsistencies. We'll have to see if you manage to drop it back in the slot. But there's definitely some disconnections. A lot of motion, great impact position though. Look at that, that's pretty solid. And then flipping it back through. Okay, so I'm going to tell you right now that there is definitely some long arm issues, and long arm issues can cause havoc because it is extremely timing oriented. So I can definitely see why some days when you got that timing going on, you're deadly. I mean, you don't want to go against yourself. But when other days where you're a little bit off, that's where all the bets are pressed and people are trying to make money from you. You're like the walking ATM, which is not a good thing to be. But you do kind of make it work, except for that divot. We don't want divots with drivers. Okay, that's not the idea. But that divot really comes from your hands and arms really flicking over. I mean, that you can see that how restricted that release is. Look at that left arm. That left arm is completely flicked over. So your down the line will probably tell us so much more about this. But however, your face on, okay, address is really good. Takeaway, get more turn. I'm not sure if you have any range of motion issues in your hips or your knees or your ankles or your shoulders. If you do, get some stretches going on there. If you don't know, go to a TPI guy or girl. You can go to tpi.com and you can search by zip code. But right about here, let's say that's your turn. That's where your arms stop. Just stop your arms there. That's all you need to do, because there you're still connected. You can just turn through. You don't have to release. You don't have to flick. You don't have to compensate or be in a weird position to allow your hands to release. But look how much more you go over. So based on your turn, that's where your club should be. But look how far back we go. So look how much more that club has moved while your body hasn't really turned anymore. So now you're dealing with, I don't know, what is that? Almost 90 degrees of extra club head motion that now you have to get back in front of your body in the exact same time that it should be from here. So now instead of going like this and 0.3 seconds. You've got to go like this in 0.3 seconds while you're turning. So you start your turn, you get your turn open, everything's open, but all of a sudden your hands and arms say, man, I got all this room to catch up with. What do I need to do? I got to stop turning because to allow my hands and arms to catch up. So you kind of stop turning, hands try to catch up. They do a decent job, but because they're trying to catch up, they're going to be very steep. You're going to start hitting down on the ground. That's where the flipping happens. And then you can't really release anymore because the momentum of your hands have taken over. And the hands are what's controlling the past impact. You can't really turn, you can't really drive because everything has had to come to a dead stop to allow your hands to catch up. So really watch that. I have some good drills to help you with body-hand connection. If you want me to make a new one, because I don't know where it is, but I'll make a new one for you and I'll upload it and we can help you out there. But let's take a look at the down the line. All right, Kurt, I'm kind of excited to see this one. I don't know about everybody else, but I want to see this. Yeah, that's too much, Kurt. That's really hard to judge. But man, you do a solid job here. I mean, this here, with all that extra room, and you're still able to look at your posture. I mean, you're just sitting there. One drive isn't signed in yet. That's nice. But you're just sitting there and turning, which is beautiful. So you have the body motion going down there, but it just breaks down right at impact. And look at that. So even there, you're. This is 2 swings that you've sent. I don't know if you had multiple cameras going on, but you've taken divots with both of them. All right, so definitely some alignment issues. I don't know. I mean, you really have to, if you can let me know. Do me a favor, can you send me either another email or just in the comment box below, just tell me if you have any range of motion issues, because if you do, it could explain some of these motions. If you don't, that's perfect. We have leeway now to kind of give you some ideas of what to fix. Because if I don't know your range of motion is, and until you start to fix stuff and you could hurt yourself more, that's not the goal. The goal is to enjoy this game and not be in the hospital over it. But the reason I say that is you're definitely misaligned. You can see your shoulders are open, your feet are closed, your hips are square. So you're already starting a little bit mismatched, which is hard for your body to pick up on where the planes are. But your hands go nice and low, getting on that position. You are very squatty too when you're set up. So, if this was me and you, we'd be having a really long discussion about what your end all goal is. How much time do you have left in this game to dedicate to restructuring your whole swing? Is it worth the time? Or are you just looking to hit the ball slightly better? If you are, we just tighten up a few things. We work on shortening your arm motion, work on getting your setup corrected, and then that'll help you hit more consistent shots. And it could be consistent fades, could be consistent draws. Who cares as long as they're consistent? And who cares about your misses? Because as long as your misses get better, that's the goal. But the way you're set up now, it just looks like it's a very bit taxing on you. But as is, let's just watch this motion. Arms try and get up. You've kind of raised your shoulder tilt to stand up to help you turn. So that's, because to be that down low and turn, it's almost impossible. So you start standing up. Momentum's taking your club way back behind you. Very John Daly-esque. Now from here, you do a really good job trying to drop it in the slot, which is great. Club face is wide open. I mean, compared to your spine angle, I mean, it's almost 90 degrees open to your spine angle, which now you have to really flick through, and that's where your arms have to catch up, and now it's 90 degrees close to your spine angle. So within a matter of a split second, your club face went from 90 degrees open to 90 degrees close. So you can see how much of this motion you're doing. I mean, that's 90 degrees. And then 90 degrees. So you're doing all this in a split second instead of holding on and just kind of turning and let the body and the tilting of the body strike the club face and square it up for you. It's who knows what the ratio really is, but you want you to try and think about it as an equal effort to square the club face up. You want a little bit of rotation with the hands and rotation with the body, and together they help square the club face up. If it's too much of one, the other one feels inadequate and it slows up or doesn't get used. So you're building up your momentum. It goes through your hands and arms, and it's just too flicky. So it's just too much reconnection going on here, Kurt. So what I recommend is just, if you have somebody next to you, a professional that can help you get in alignment, grip alignment, set of posture, go over those, get you in a taller position, work on establishing a connection. And you could be disconnecting because your range of motion issues are there, or old injuries preventing you from doing that. But you look fairly athletic. You look like you can get the job done. You do get the job done. This is a much more let me put it this way. This swing requires more effort than a normal swing should. So if you can do this swing over and over again, you can probably do a normal swing pretty easy. So it should feel like it's a lot easier once you get taken care of. So I hope that helps you. That looks very much like Georgia. You didn't give me a clue. So I'm going to say Georgia, Sarasota. I mean, those trees. So I can't take two states. Let's just go with, I'm going to say Georgia. Okay, that's my guess. So I hope that's right. And if it's not, say Wichita. But I wish you the best of luck. Let me know in the comment sections if you want that drill. And best of luck to you. Hope that helps you guys. And we will see you soon. And pretty soon, 50th swing evaluation. And I'm going to do 1,000 subscriber round of golf. So I'm going to pick 3 people to come out with me, play a round of golf, have some fun. So let's see who gets that. You probably beat me anyway. Take care. Favors and greetings.